Hello, friends. Very good evening greetings to all of you. I hope you all are taking excellent care of yourselves with the best optimization of the available resources. Dear friends, today I, Kunal Nagpal, am feeling immensely delighted to welcome you all to this great economic forum in today's evening session. Dear friends, before I begin with today's discussion, I wish to mention a quote. That is, the very presence of an angel is itself so fulfilling, so nurturing, that the surroundings become so pacifying and it helps to nurture each and every mind around that angel. Moreover, the voice, the overall thought process, and the actions of an angel are filled with the three main pillars of humility, contentment, and constructiveness, which are blessed with the divine connect. So, the surroundings are so fulfilled with the divine connection, and they are contented, they remain contented in a divine manner because their needs get fulfilled. Dear friends, on this note, I would like to say that in the present gloomy global economic scenario, where the global recession is expected to take place, the very presence of India is acting as the bright spot in this dark room. Now, let's explore that how India is manifesting so much of positivity. Being a developing country and the emerging market in the global scenario, even then it is able to boost its overall confidence and its presence is helping to make other countries feel secure. Why? Because of our effective leadership, our well-balanced approach to make the best utilization of the available resources. Our resource optimization strategies are the key factors behind our success. So dear guys, before I elaborate on our strengths once again, I would like to mention the real scenario existing in the entire globe and the prospected circumstances which can take place in this year. So dear friends, this report has been presented by the World Bank, which cuts the 2023 world growth forecast in sharp, long-lasting slowdown. The global growth is actually slowing perilously close to recession. The World Bank said on Tuesday, that is on 10th January 2023, slashing its 2023 economic forecast on high inflation, rising interest rates, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The economists have warned of a slump in the world economy as the countries battle soaring costs and the central banks simultaneously hiked the interest rates to cool the demand, worsening financial conditions amid ongoing disruptions from the war in Ukraine. The World Bank's latest forecast points to a sharp, long-lasting slowdown with the growth pegged at 1.7% this year, roughly half the pace it predicted in June, said the bank's latest Global Economic Prospects report. This is actually among the weakest rates seen in nearly 3 decades, overshadowed only by the pandemic-induced downturn of 2020 and the global financial crisis in 2009. Given fragile economic conditions, any new adverse development could actually push the global economy into recession. The Washington-based development leader said, these include higher than expected inflation, sudden spikes in interest rates to contain the price increases, or a pandemic resurgence. The World Bank president, Mr. David Malpass, told the reporters on Tuesday, I am pretty concerned, deeply concerned that the slowdown may persist. And it is particularly devastating. In the United States, the growth will likely slow to 0.5% in 2023, much lower than the earlier forecast, while the euro area is to flatline as it battles energy supply disruptions and the price hikes related to Russia's invasion. China is predicted to expand 4.3% this year, that is 0.9 points below the previous expectations, partly due to the lingering pandemic disruptions and the property sector weakness. So the outlook is particularly devastating for many of the poorest economies where poverty reduction has already ground to a halt. Malpass said, emerging and developing countries are facing a multi-year period of slow growth driven by heavy debt burdens and weak investment, he added. While the World Bank has pushed for a quicker debt restructuring process, progress remaining stalled, Mr. Malpass said. The broad-based slowdown and the weak growth does not mark a recession just yet, said Mr. Ihan Kos, head of the bank's forecast unit. But in the near term, the World Bank is actually watching out for the possibility of the financial stress if the interest rates go up higher at the global level, he told AFP. And if this happens and inflation remains persistent, that could actually trigger a global recession, he said. And if the financing conditions get tighter, there will likely be more debt crisis this year, he warned. And this is actually set to deepen. The central banks, including the US Federal Reserve, have been hiking the interest rates over the past year to fight inflation. But the drag on economies is set to deepen as the policies take effect, the World Bank said. The world's three major engines of growth, that is the United States, the euro area, and China, are undergoing a period of pronounced weakness with adverse spillovers for the emerging market and developing economies, the bank added. For now, inflation has risen, nudged up by the pandemic-era support, supply shocks, and in some cases, currency depreciations relative to the US dollar. Among the hardest hit areas is actually sub-Saharan Africa, which accounts for some 60% of the world's extreme poor. Its growth in the per capita income over this year and next is actually expected to average just 1.2%, a rate that could cause property rates to rise, not fall, said the World Bank. The report also flagged the challenges faced by the small states with a population of 1.5 million or less, which have been hurt especially hard by the pandemic. They often also experience the losses related to the climate disasters that average roughly 5% of the GDP per year, the bank said. So given the higher likelihood of these types of natural disasters, we need to take into account these risks materializing more often down the road, Mr. Kos stressed. So, on this note, my dear friends, our economists the economists of our country, the pioneer leaders of our country are quite confident of India's progress and acting as the bright spot in the gloomy global economic scenario. And this is actually true because they are well presenting the situation with the help of the facts. And also, not only the domestic forums, but also we are being encouraged. Our economy is being appreciated at an international level by the World Bank, by the International Monetary Fund. So, we should keep our strengths maintained and sustain them at the fullest possible level. And now I'm going to present the insights laid down by the respected Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji and our respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. So, Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, our Finance Minister, is actually of the opinion that India pitching to be the +1 in European Union +1, that is EU +1, not only China +1 but EU +1. That is, India is not only looking for being the +1 in China +1, which the world is looking for, but it is also pitching to become the +1 in the European Union +1. She said this while inviting the India diaspora to partner and collaborate with the Indian businesses. Speaking at the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas Convention in Indore, Dr. Sitharaman said the government is strongly presenting India to the multinational companies as a country where they can set up their factories apart from China and the European Union, that is the EU. Citing the example of Lockheed Martin, which is producing the wings for F-16 fighter jets in India, she said the global companies were eyeing India for the high-tech production. Dr. Sitharaman said India was already contributing to the global manufacturing and added that 14 out of 15 diamonds in the world are cut and polished here. And for almost any car bought abroad, there is at least one component which is made in India. Airbus, she said, is also setting up a plant in Dholera in India, and 2,000 chips were designed in India. It's not just the low-cost production, but the high-tech manufacturing is also happening in the country, the minister said, adding that India was actually becoming a knowledge hub for the world. Our efforts are to basically make sure to attract the industries to come up to India if they look for elsewhere other than in Europe. Dr. Sitharaman said India will focus on the 4 I's, that is, infrastructure, investment, innovation, and inclusion for the next 25 years. She also asked the diaspora to choose India-made goods and services to support the growth of the country in the Amrit Kal and partner with the local businesses and handhold them to become part of the global supply chains. I also want to invite the Indian diaspora to partner with the Indian businesses, whether it is nano, small, micro or large, so that they get their potential in entrepreneurial skills to grow by 2047, she said. The minister highlighted how the low-cost technologies were emerging in the country and pointed out that the cost of the Chandrayaan was far lesser than a Hollywood film. Acknowledging the contribution of the non-resident Indians, that is the NRIs, she said the remittances sent to the country by the overseas Indians were about $100 billion for the year 2022, up by 12%. So this helps us to understand the real strengths possessed by our country. And as articulated by ma'am, the 4 I's which we Indians need to focus on. Our core strengths will help to maximize our overall efficiency and effectiveness in the next 25 years, which we really need to capitalize on. That is infrastructure, investment, innovation, and inclusion. Now, after going through this wonderful and inspiring article, let's move on to go through the views presented by our respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Let's see what he has to say. When asked what's behind India's economic growth, what's that secret, PM Modi ji answers. He says the country witnessing record FDI inflows, that is the foreign direct investment. India is actually witnessing the record-breaking FDI inflows as per our respected Prime Minister. And he made the statement while addressing the investors virtually at the 7th edition of the Invest Madhya Pradesh. The Global Investors Summit on Wednesday in Indore, that is today itself, that's on 11th January 2023. The optimism for India is actually driven by strong democracy, young demography, and political stability. I repeat, strong democracy, young demography, and political stability. Not just we the Indians, but every institution and expert in the world seems to be confident about this, he added. The International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, sees India as a bright spot in the global economy. The World Bank says that India is in a better position to deal with the global headwinds than many other countries. This is because of India's strong macroeconomic fundamentals, Modi ji said. The OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has said that India will be among the fastest growing economies in the G20 groups this year, that's in 2023, Modi ji pointed out. According to Morgan Stanley, India is moving towards becoming the world's third largest economy in the next 4 to 5 years. That is, it will jump from 5th position to the 3rd position, surpassing other economies. The world is following India's PLI scheme, that is the Production Linked Incentive Scheme, Modi ji said, alluding to the positive response to the government's scheme to boost manufacturing. Further, the mission Green Hydrogen is actually bringing the opportunities worth 8 lakh crore rupees, he said. So, this is really very, very encouraging to go through such beautiful insights, and it helps us to fill ourselves with great pride, great patriotic feelings, and I'm pretty sure it is doing the same effect on you people. And we are proud to be Indians. We are proud to be Indians. And once again, I would reiterate that this has been made possible, or this can be further accelerated only with the innate desire of the unified concept, that is the concept of the global family, the concept of global welfare, the sense of belongingness, of seeing it as the Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. That's the real secret, my dear guys. That's the real secret. So let's fill ourselves with the angelic feelings, the quote with which we had begun today's discussion. We can become an angel. We are an angel currently, and we can continue this in the future time as well, if we keep that feelings alive within us. We won't get disheartened by any critic or by any false report on us. Our strengths will automatically get capitalized to much greater extents. Just the feeling of belongingness and the global family. So the regular SWOT analysis and pistol analysis would obviously encourage us to touch the new heights. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to hold this session, dear guys. It was really a pleasure. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.